G'day and welcome. Soul Covers here. We have, how many bets do we have locked in? We have three bets locked in at the moment. One in game three of the finals, two in the WNBA. Make sure you stick around for those. Like the video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Helps the channel grow, helps us pop up on other people's feeds. It does mean a lot. Grinding this out along with my full-time job, doing this all for free, putting this content out, this information out there. Um, Looking back, since we last recorded, we go 3-1. We had our best ever night in the WNBA as well. So, with the W, it felt like I was just going 1-1. I went 1-1 for like a week straight. So to go 2-1 in the WNBA, that's a really positive sign. We have been tracking how our bets are doing against the closing number, and we're hitting 80% against the closing line. Now, I'm 50% in terms of winning the bet, but like if we can continue to close ahead of the line in 75% of our bets, 70%, we're gonna have a winning year in the WNBA. Like no question. So looking back, we cashed on the Thunder game two. That was reasonably sweat free until the very end. It did get a little bit close, but we knew the Thunder were going to bounce back in a big way in game two. So grabbed a really nice early ticket there. Was like one of the first guys to the window on that OKC -9.5. And then three bets in the W, go 2-1, and all three of them closed ahead of the market. All four of those bets closed ahead of the market. The Mystics take care of the Connecticut Sun. Just in terms of a general handicapping read there, like you had the Sun, they were coming off their biggest win of the season. They're a bad team. Like, not going to read too much into one game in a big letdown spot against a much better team in the Mystics. And then just another bit of a mismatch between the Minnesota Lynx and the Dallas Wings. So let's have a look at game three in the NBA Finals. We have the OKC Thunder and the Indiana Pacers. Alright, that'll do. It looks a little bit wonky right now. I do not have time to fix that up, but... So...
One pair of pants later.
Game three of the NBA Finals. OKC coming off a win. We have first game in Indiana. You've probably seen everywhere all about how OKC, they are 0-7 against the spread on the road. They have not been covering numbers on the road. You've seen that everywhere. So here we see a spread that opened mostly at 5. Now, we did see FanDuel open this line at OKC -3.5, and that's certainly something I regret picking up considering where this market is. And I don't claim to be perfect. I know that a couple things I can really improve on is in my betting, and not so much handicapping, but like taking bets. Is one thing would be just grab the bad number, even if it's not the side that I want. And yeah, in this case, I did not grab the 3.5 because I wanted the Pacers. That's something I could have done a bit better. And part two of that is timing my bets. I generally just like to pick off early numbers. I don't like to risk getting a worse number by waiting. But with experience, I suppose you do start to learn like which side is taking the money, which side is taking the late money, and like which side where it might pay to come in later on a better number. Those are two things that I can certainly stand to improve on, and that shows here. So, Pacers and Thunder, game 3, spread open mostly at 5. I've got this at OKC -3. And we've loved this Pacers team throughout the playoffs. In terms of this game 3 spot, there's no like big trend either way. Like we know in game 1, like it's home favorite, big trend towards the Thunder. We know in game 2 that there was We know how it is if home favorite loses game 1, just take them in game 2. Like those 2 spots are very like well-known, well-regarded trends to bet on. Game 3 in the finals, there's just not much there in terms of trends. We got series tied 1-1. I'm taking the Pacers. I'm holding a Pacers +5 for 3 units. We've seen this market. Now it's at 5.5 consensus. I think it's like 5.5 minus 105 is a consensus. There are some 5s there as well. So the early market has been OKC. I'm not really phased by it. I like the Pacers in this spot. You saw game 2 where you get 20 points out of Caruso, you get 20 points out of Aaron Wiggins, you get Chet Holmgren getting off to a hot start that game. You have a Pacers team that they did their job in game 1. They took home court advantage. Yes, they've won game 1 and game 2 in the previous 3 series, but I wasn't surprised to see the Pacers lose in game 2, but I like them here in game 3. You can get them now +5.5. You can probably get a minus 105 as well, I reckon. So let me see where the best available price is for the Pacers. And oh no, sorry. You can get Pacers +5.5 minus 115. This Bet365 line is actually probably the best line out of all the standard sort of books. So this is something I personally would grab. If you're feeling daring as well, you can take them on the money line as well. Not a bad bet would be, especially with like the Bet365. They've got the early payout. If you're in Australia with Neds and Ladbrokes, if their team's up by 12 points at halftime, you get paid out for that, so that's even better than the Bet365 payout. In these situations, sometimes I will like split my bet up between the money line and the spread, but here I'm just taking the points. I don't mind if you want to split this up between the money line and the spread. In terms of the total, we see this open at 227.5. It is now at 228.5, so a bit of an over market. My numbers are right there with it. Game threes where the series is tied 1-1 is generally an under spot. So I think you can only look towards betting the under here. That's certainly the way I would look, but I do not have a bet on the under as of yet. It seemed like a very sharp line, this 228. So all I'm on is Pacers +5. Got that down for 3 units. You can get this +5.5 right now. I would still go take that. I don't see this getting to 6. Even though OKC has like taken late money consistently throughout these playoffs, I just don't see it getting to 6. 6 is a very key number in the NBA. It's going to take a lot to move this to 6, and I think if anything it goes to 5. I would bet on it going to 5 more than it would going to 6, but it probably just stays in this 5.5 range. So let's get into the WNBA, where we do have 2 bets locked in as of right now, and looking to get a bit more action in. We do have a couple more games priced right now, so let's have a look at the WNBA.
One pair of pants later.
First game on the card for the WNBA is the Indiana Fever at the Atlanta Dream. So, we know for this one that Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham are both out for the Fever. That they're missing a lot, hence why you see this market open at Dream -2 with that injury uncertainty. They were both questionable. Now at Dream -5 with a bit of juice towards the Dream. Fever missing 2 key starters, missing Caitlin Clark, one of the best offensive players in the league. So my numbers have this at Fever -3.5, but that accounts for a fully healthy team. Now we see it at Dream -5. I don't have anything here on the spread. I think the only way you can look is towards. Wow. I think this game's a complete stay away. You're paying an absolute premium for the dream, but on the other hand, they are in a bounce back spot in this one. They're coming off a loss to the Connecticut Sun where they were 11-point home favorites and they lose outright. That was just a crazy result. You know they're gonna come back and they're gonna play much better, especially on the defensive end. Um, so I have nothing for you on the spread. Looking at the total, we seen this open at 160. Saw this open at 166 and a half. Now at 163. I'm personally holding an under 164 and a half. Got that down for 1 unit. Best we see here the 163 and a half. This total is as low as 162 and a half. However, if you have Bet Rivers available or Tap Touch, if you're in Australia, you can get an under 164, which I would go play right now. I've got this at 161, and that accounts for that's for full season numbers where Caitlin Clark has played the first few games of the season. So just with the cluster injuries with the Indiana Fever, I think the only way you can look is towards the under. Let's have a look at the next matchup, which is a big mismatch between the New York Liberty and the Indiana Fever. New York Liberty and the Chicago Sky. So let me just fix. There we go. So looking at my numbers, you see we've got a projected spread of minus 29.5. Obviously, it's still very early, and like this is the Liberty who are just their net rating is much better than any team in the league. We have the Sky, who are the second worst team in the league in terms of net rating. I'm holding a Liberty minus 17. You know, the reason I played it was I saw most of the market was at 18.5 and Bet365 was at 17. So I was like, yeah, I'm just going to blindly bet that. I'm sure you would do the same. We have seen a bit of resistance at the 18.5 mark. I am seeing some 18s start to pop back up. So best available line. Wow, it got to 19 at some offshore books as well. Jesus. Best available price, I believe, if you have Bet Online, if you're using an offshore, you can get 17.5. Otherwise, you can get 18. It is a big number, but it is a big number for good reason. Looking at the total, we saw this open at 167.5, now at 164.5. That seems to be the resistance point for the total as well. I do not have any action here on the total, but we continue to see it sink down a little bit from that open. So I'm on the Liberty minus 17. Best available number there is minus 18. So this game is being played between the LA Sparks and the Las Vegas Aces. This is being played on Thursday or Wednesday if you're in America, but Thursday for me. So this is an interesting matchup where we've got an Aces team. They're coming off like their worst loss of the season, losing by 30 in Golden State. We have the Sparks coming off a pretty bad loss as well. They also just lost to Golden State as well. So here, we see an 11.5 point spread. It is now 11. I have this at Aces minus 3. Now that is strictly just based on this season's numbers. The Aces just have been nowhere near as good as they were last season, but I expect them to start playing better. But do I see them covering 11 points? You're asking a lot there. I mean, we did see these teams match up earlier in the season where the Aces did win by 15. They were in a similar spot coming off a bad loss. So maybe like They played the Sparks at home 31st of May. They were coming off a 20-point loss, and they beat the Sparks by 15. So in a pretty similar spot. I still think the only way you can look in this matchup is to play the Sparks, but we will see if I take that Sparks plus 11. Looking at the total, we've seen it open at 166.5. No movement there. My number's slightly like the under, but with these games that are priced like over a day in advance, you're not going to see much market movement until some of the sharp books open up. We have the Dallas Wings and the Phoenix Mercury, a very low spread considering how bad this Dallas team has been. This is one I am looking at. Looking to play the Mercury here. Got this at Mercury minus 9.5 now. I believe they're still missing Alyssa Thomas, so they're still dealing with some injuries, but it's a nice price for the Mercury. It's probably going to be a very public side to fade this Dallas Wings team, so that is a spot where I am looking at taking the Mercury. Just going to wait on that market information as we do, especially with these WNBA players. Also like the under in this matchup. That's another thing we will look out for. However, it does look like a bit of early over movement in this market. And last game on the card is Lynx and Storm, where this game appears to be very well priced. We see no edges here whatsoever. We see this game open at 4.5. I got it at Lynx minus 5, 4.5, 5. We've got the total right there with this 156. So this is a game that I'm not looking to play. I mean, the Lynx are 9-0 now. They haven't, they're 9-0, but 5-4 against the spread. Seattle are a team that have probably been underperforming what you would expect from them. There's been some weird stories in the media coming out about this Storm team. I don't really want to be backing a team that is 9-0. They seem like they're due for a loss eventually, or maybe not to cover the numbers. So I've got nothing on this game. Sides I am looking at are the Mercury and possibly the Starks. Let's get into our best bets. Where are they? Here we go. So, best bets. We will zoom in a little bit. So, best bets. WNBA, we have the Fever and Dream under 164.5. You can get an under 164 at Bet Rivers. I would go take that right now. We also have the New York Liberty covering the big ass number versus the Chicago Sky. You can, and it looks like there is a bit more movement towards the Sky. It looks like it's going back to 17.5. So look, I'll leave that with you. I'm sitting on Liberty minus 17. It's up to you whether you want to take that. We are seeing we see Circa still at 18.5. We see Bookmaker at 18, Offshore's at 18. So I'll leave it with you as to whether you want to take that big spread. We see Thunder at Pacers game 3. We're on the Pacers +5 for 3 units. You can get 5.5 right now, and I would go take that. I don't see it getting to 6. Maybe it will, but I think there's a better chance this goes to 5 before it goes to 6. So thanks for tuning in. Follow us on Twitter. I didn't even say go follow us on Twitter. Make sure you go do that as well. Support the channel. Until next time, let's get the books salty.